In the dim light before dawn on the Eastern Front, German tank crews climbed into the steel confines of their Panther tanks, sealing the hatches before engines roared to life. Inside those cramped hulls, the air smelled of oil, metal, and quiet tension. Outside waited frozen fields, uncertain intelligence, and enemies unseen. The Panther was considered one of the most advanced tanks of the Second World War, admired for its power and precision. Yet behind the legend of this machine lay a far less glamorous reality, a daily struggle of exhaustion, fear, technical failures, and relentless pressure that shaped the lives of the men who operated it. What was it really like to serve as part of a Panther crew, inside one of history's most feared armored vehicles? If you enjoy stories of history, like and subscribe. Many more fascinating journeys into the past await you here. The Panther tank, officially designated the Panzerkampfwagen 5th Panther, entered service in 1943 as Germany's response to the unexpected power of the Soviet T-34. Designed with sloped armor, a high-velocity 75mm gun, and impressive battlefield mobility, it represented a major leap in engineering. At least on paper, the Panther promised to dominate long-range engagements and restore balance to armored warfare. For the crews assigned to the new tank, training came quickly and often under pressure. Germany's industrial shortages and battlefield demands meant crews were rushed from classrooms to combat zones. Many drivers, gunners, and loaders learned complex systems while units were already en route to frontline positions. The Panther was technologically advanced, but that sophistication introduced difficulty. Its transmissions were fragile, engines overheated, and early production models were plagued by mechanical unreliability. Inside the vehicle, 5 men worked as a tightly coordinated team: commander, gunner, loader, driver, and radio operator. Communication relied on headsets or shouted commands over the engine's roar. Each movement was choreographed through repeated drills, yet the learning curve remained steep. Crews often spent more time maintaining the tank than driving it. Adjusting track tension, replacing worn parts, or repairing damaged systems became part of daily routine. Field conditions added constant strain. Mud-clogged mechanisms, snow-stiffened controls, and dust-coated optics. The threat of mechanical failure was as real as the enemy. A stalled tank could leave its crew dangerously exposed and often force them into difficult repair efforts under unpredictable circumstances. Technical breakdowns became as psychologically exhausting as combat itself. Yet despite these challenges, Panther crews were expected to uphold the reputation of an elite armored force. Many were young men experiencing war within one of the Army's most complex machines, responsible not only for survival in battle, but for keeping the tank operational under some of the harshest conditions imaginable. Living within a Panther tank meant enduring extreme confinement for extended periods. Instruments, ammunition racks, and the massive gun breech filled nearly every available space. During operations, space for movement was minimal. Crew members remained seated or crouched for hours, often unable to stretch or rest properly. Heat became intense once the engine was running, while in winter, the interior turned piercingly cold until operations warmed the metal hull. Ventilation systems struggled to remove fumes from spent shells and engine exhaust. Crews became accustomed to the constant smell of fuel and lubricant, combined with smoke residue that coated clothing and equipment alike. Noise was constant. The diesel engine, the clatter of tracks, and the recoil of the main gun left ears ringing. Hearing damage was common among veterans, a side effect rarely acknowledged during wartime. Fatigue followed almost every mission. Sleep came in short intervals within or near the vehicle, interrupted by alerts or maintenance duties. Mental pressure proved as demanding as physical discomfort. Panther crews operated knowing that their vehicle, while powerful, was not invulnerable. Experience showed that knowledge of terrain, coordination with infantry, and quick decision-making were often as important as raw firepower. The commander carried particular responsibility, scanning the horizon through periscopes, selecting targets, and coordinating movements under rapidly changing conditions. Letters and post-war memoirs reveal how crews formed remarkably close bonds. Self-preservation depended on teamwork. Every member's mistake could endanger all 5 men. Trust developed not through ideology, but through shared hardship. Meals were brief affairs of preserved rations, eaten beside the vehicle between repairs. Moments of calm were rare, yet those quiet pauses around a parked Panther remain deeply remembered by survivors. By 1944, Panther units were engaged across multiple fronts, often facing increasing shortages of fuel, spare parts, and trained personnel. Production numbers rose, but logistical support failed to keep pace. Crews improvised maintenance using limited tools and salvaged components from disabled vehicles. As Allied air superiority expanded, movement by daylight became hazardous. Long night marches added to fatigue, while concealment during daylight hours forced crews into prolonged isolation. Psychological stress accumulated steadily. Veterans described a sense of constant vigilance even when far from fighting, as the roar of aircraft engines or distant artillery kept nerves on edge. Replacement crew members frequently arrived with minimal experience. Veteran soldiers found themselves training newcomers while continuing operations. Loss of familiarity within crews disrupted established coordination, making duties more stressful. Although official reports focused on battlefield effectiveness, personal accounts reveal quieter struggles with exhaustion and emotional strain. The Panther itself, once hailed as revolutionary, slowly earned mixed reputation among its crews. While respected for firepower and armor, its vulnerabilities and demanding maintenance became widely known. The contrast between its formidable image and the daily difficulties of operating it created a unique tension. Pride in the machine mixed with awareness of its limitations. After the war, former crew members spoke less about fighting and more about the routines of survival. Cleaning optical sights at dawn, repairing broken drives under rain, sharing ration biscuits in freezing weather, or waiting silently inside a sealed tank while engines idled. These memories formed the human narrative behind the armored divisions, a story not of spectacle, but of endurance. The terrifying side of Panther crews lies not in dramatic battle scenes, but in the quiet persistence demanded of ordinary men placed within an extraordinary machine. History often celebrates the technology or the victories, yet behind every iconic tank stood individuals who navigated fear, fatigue, and responsibility each day. Their experiences remind us that technological achievements do not eliminate human vulnerability, they merely reshape it. What lessons can we draw from these stories of endurance under steel and pressure, as modern warfare continues to grow ever more complex? If you're fascinated by history, World War II, and unsolved mysteries of the past, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and like this video. That way you won't miss any new historical documentaries,